Good day, everybody. It's Trent Klarenbach with the Klarenbach Grain Report. Today is January the 6th, 2026. And here I want to talk about durum wheat today. Neil reached out to me asking me about durum wheat, and I'm going to share with you what I shared with him here. So this is the first chart we're going to show you is the weekly chart of the Klarenbach Price Index for Saskatchewan. This is the weekly chart. The candlestick chart. So each candlestick represents 1 week in duration and displays the entire range of price within that week time frame. So this is the weekly chart. Take a look at these trend lines here I drew on the logarithmic chart, and you can see we've had 3 touches on the top trend line and only 2 on the bottom. So often you get 3 touches before you get a breakout of what they call this wedge here. We haven't got the 3rd touch on the bottom trend line yet. But take a look at this other trend line. We talked about this last video. This trend line, I started back here in 2015. It's acted as resistance until support in the early 2021. Acted as support here back in, when is that, 2024. We broke through that, and now that previous resistance, which acted as support, is now acting as resistance again. We saw that resistance back here in November. You don't think that the price from 10 years ago has any impact on today's price, but it does. And we're the only ones charting it in this manner. We're the only ones looking at it from this Saskatchewan price chart from this perspective. And so you got, no one else is looking at it, but still behaves the same way, which makes it really interesting to me. So if I do this here and take off and go to the linear chart, we see what a kind of a, I don't know if it's a parabola or what it is, but anyways, you can see how this trend line here, the bottom trend line, crosses with the 2018 low. It's going to cross back in August, early September of this year, at the start of which is ironically the start of the crop year, right? So maybe we see lower prices until then, and maybe that marks the bottom around that August 31st, September 1 mark. So keep that in your calendar. When I look at this weekly chart, I look at this RSI, and I want to show you a few things of the RSI. The RSI is the relative strength index. And I'm not going to get into the definition of it because it doesn't really matter. You just have to know how to use it. And I like looking for triple divergence. So what that means is when I see 3 lower lows on the price, I like to see 3 higher lows on the RSI. So we got a low back here in August of 2024. Made I would say a significant low on the RSI. Made another low back here in September and a higher low. Okay, so we're getting some divergence. Okay, that's a sign that perhaps the momentum of the move in that direction, that trend is starting to reduce, and we look for a rally in that situation. Now, it could be argued that we made another lower low here in December. We made a higher low on the RSI, so we have 3 RSIs here. Now, this divergence here, so it gives you some hope that we're going to see a rally in the price. We haven't got it yet. I need confirmation before I get bullish. It could be a sign that things are starting to turn around. Now, how high can this price go back, I don't know when that was, back early fall. We talked about maybe a rally up to that 787 level. We haven't got there. Of course, that trend line back here from 2015 acted as resistance. So we'll just see where this goes. I think there's a bit of supply through here between 770 and 787 on the index. And I'm really going to be monitoring this RSI so I can give you some signs of what's going to happen. So we're getting some mixed messages here. All in all, it's a bearish chart, but we're seeing some signs of hope that we can get a rally here. Now, I think any rally is limited. I think the downside has a greater probability, and I think there's greater risk that the price goes lower than higher. And that's my opinion today on January the 6th, 2026. This is the U.S. market, U.S. Durum Cash Durum Price. And again, a couple months ago, I talked about potential rally up to that 610, 611 level, this previous low. We haven't got there yet. Interestingly enough, this 50-week moving average is going to be crossing that 610 level here in a couple weeks. It'll be interesting to see if we can get moved up there or not. But again, so that's about a 30, 25 cent rally in US Durum. So I think there's going to be a reaction at that level, just with the moving average and previous support level. So I think the upside is limited on the US Durum as well. Let's take a look at Europe. This is a SITAGRI Durum Wheat Index, and I got quite a few different things on here, but let's just zoom out of here a bit, make this bigger. All right, so we were talking about this band as marking as a magnet level for about 2 years now. Yeah, and of course we actually got down to the bottom of it, and we're having trouble getting back into that band of this previous lows. Maybe we're there, depending on where you draw the trend line. But we really need to get above there before we have some momentum to the upside. Right now we're below that. We need to get above this trend line. Right now we're below that. Right now the chart is suggesting to us that this is going to continue lower. We're not seeing any signs of a rebound yet. So let's take a look at the weekly chart. I'm going to turn on the weekly chart. That was the monthly chart. Let's take a look at the weekly chart. And yeah, the weekly chart just wants to make lower lows here as well. So it's hard to get too bullish European Durum when we're making new lows. We just can't. That's a sign of a downtrend, is lower lows. The daily chart here, I mean, until we make new highs above these moving averages, we're not seeing any signs of a rally. In fact, we're looking at probably lower prices here. So we're certainly seeing bearishness in Europe, which suggests that it's likely to impact negatively on the Canadian and American market as well, seeing that we're exporters for the most part. And yeah, not seeing many signs to be bullish, maybe some hope in that RSI on the Canadian market, but other than that, the market's telling me or suggesting to me it's going to continue lower for the near term. My name is Trent Klarenbach, sunny in Saskatoon. Life's good.